Hello everyone, and welcome back to another speed building video. Make sure you grab yourself a drink, a snack, a blanket, get comfy, and let's get into it. So in today's video, I could not be more excited to share this video, even if I tried. I'm obsessed with this build. I'm in love with this build. I'm infatuated with this build, in the most humble way, of course. Today, I'm going to be building a gas station slash convenience store slash bar slash apartment. So I think the title is going to be like gas station apartment or something, but this lot can be so many different things, and that's part of the reason why I love it. And it also just feels like a very realistic build to what's like around in real life and stuff. And so yeah, I'm so excited to share it with you. I do have, you know, a family in mind, a storyline in mind, and all of that kind of stuff. But you can see that we are building in the world of Strangerville, which is a pack that I just recently purchased and am, needless to say, obsessed with. For everyone who recommended this to me, because I did post like a little poll because I wanted to know which kind of packs and stuff you guys thought were best as like a builder and things like that, because of like the big summer sale that's going on right now. I think by the time I'm posting this summer sale is definitely not happening anymore, but a lot of you recommended that I get the Strangerville pack, and to all of you who did recommend it, I'm in love with you. Thank you so much. I've been having such a fun time exploring like build and buy in the world and everything, which is kind of crazy because when this first came out, like I wasn't thinking people enjoyed it that much, because it kind of felt like a one-time playthrough sort of thing, because once you've done the story once, because for those of you who don't know, Strangerville has like a whole story thing that you kind of play out, because you kind of have to discover like the mystery of the town. And so my understanding was that people didn't really rave about it too much because it was kind of like a one and done sort of thing. But in terms of build and buy, like, my goodness, I'm so happy. The windows in this game pack are phenomenal, like genuinely such beautiful windows. And this pack came out like a little bit ago, so for the Sims team, I feel like that's kind of like a really big feat for you to, or for someone like me to still like admire the windows from like an older game pack. But yeah, everything in this pack is top notch. And I also got it in combination with the Growing Together expansion pack and the Paranormal Stuff pack, but I think Paranormal and Strangerville work so well together because I feel like they're kind of based on similar settings. And yeah, I get very Southern Gothic type of aesthetic from this, which is definitely how I'm going to build this town. You best believe it. So that's going to be the vibe for my save file in this area. And yeah, so in terms of reference photos, believe it or not, I didn't use one. I know, it's crazy. I kind of like searched just to figure out like a general sense of the layout of like a gas station and stuff, which sounds kind of stupid because I've been to gas stations, but like it just wasn't fresh at the top of my mind. So I did like search up that, but I did not use a reference photo for this really. And so there's nothing for me to put up on the screen, but pretty much all I wanted to do was create this like apartment looking building or like old house kind of thing, and then have one of the extension bits be like the gas station convenience store, and then I wanted the bottom of it to be the bar and the top of it to be like the apartment or the house, I guess. And so this lot can be set as a bar, or it can be set as residential, or honestly I think like a nightclub too. Like it's really whatever you want to use this lot for. So it is multifunctional, which I think is perfect. The lot that I'm building on is, I think it's up in the top left, called 8 Bells. This is the original bar lot in Strangerville. So when you like open up a new game and you come into Strangerville, this is the lot that has the bar, but it's just the bar. And the building is it could use some love, it could use some work, and so I gave it a refresh. But that's kind of why I decided to have it be like a gas station, a bar, and a house, because I felt like, you know, I wanted to keep, like, if I was going to build a house and a gas station here, I didn't know where I was going to put the bar, and so having it be like a 3-in-1 felt very good and very right. And that was a very weird way to say that sentence, but hopefully you get what I mean. And yeah, so I took this debug item, which is in base game, but also high school years. And there's also one that's in the werewolves pack, but that one's like blue. And I felt like the red fit the environment a little bit better. And so this is just a debug gas station item that I end up taking, and I actually moved it off of the majority of the lot because I was able to. Like, I put it as close to the edge as the item would let me, and then I put some like debug cars in right beside like the gas pump to make it look like they've just pulled in and are now like fueling up and things like that. And yeah, so I think that this lot ended up being super perfect. It is a pretty small lot. It's a 20 by 20, I believe. And so I was working with very limited space. Oh yeah, and sorry, tangent. Another thing I wanted to include in this was like a scrapyard, junkyard kind of thing, which I do have a very small portion of in the back of this build, which I think really helps with the feel of Strangerville and just the dinginess of this lot, I guess. And yeah, so pretty much I tried to fit like 4 things into one, and I love how it came out. But as I was saying, the lot's pretty small, so I was really happy with how I was able to make everything fit, and yeah, just really happy with the build overall. So the shape is nothing too crazy, it's just a couple of blocks, but I used base game wallpapers. So this white brick that's a bit more like weathered, it's called Pretty and Plaster, but it's just a base game wallpaper. And then I used this reddish tone brick there, but actually now that I think of it, I do end up changing that wallpaper to a Strangerville wallpaper actually, which looks like it's the metal sheet siding. So this brick gets switched to a different wallpaper. And same with those windows. The windows I'm using are from high school years. They're the ones that your Sims can actually climb out of if they have a like a platform or a porch right out front of it, or like a ladder or something. But I didn't use them for that feature. I used them because I just really like the look of them. There's just some very nice classic windows. And then the 8-pane windows, the ones that are on the gas station right now, those are base game. I use those in a couple spots on the house, but I end up changing them on the gas station, so those aren't the ones I go with. And then the doors I'm using are from Strangerville. They're supposed to be this like you can see here as I'm working on the junkyard, they're supposed to be, I think, like a trailer door kind of thing, but I really like how banged up and dirty they looked. So I decided I wanted to use them on like this back bit here, because they also looked like a bit more secure, I guess. But for the house, I think I switched that to just a base game door. Then the one on the gas station, also base game. And then the one that leads into the bar is actually werewolves. And I also I'm in love with the AC unit that we got from Strangerville. It's just like a window AC unit, but it was such a good thing to add into this pack. And the reason I was considering getting vampires over Strangerville was mainly because of like the wall decor, or wall decals, I guess, because you could really have it looked like the walls were coming apart, which I really liked. But also they had a radiator, a rad, whatever you want to call it. They had one of those, and because I really like doing like more realistic homes, I really wanted to get that pack for that reason. But I got Strangerville, and I'm happy that I at least got one new realistic build item, which would be this AC unit, which I love. And then the stairs leading up to the apartment on the top there, those are werewolves. I really like it because they're like a metal grate sort of, so they look very industrial and kind of like a fire escape, which kind of looks like the entranceway to upstairs. And then I also ended up using this kind of worn down billboard sign thing from Strangerville. It's originally just like an empty like sign. There's no sign, it's just kind of like shattered, I guess. I'm really not explaining that well. But then I took a piece of wall decor from Strangerville, once again, that has this kind of more bar looking decal, I suppose, and I put that into the frame of it to kind of make it look like this structure was supporting the sign. Hopefully that made some kind of sense. Chances are it didn't, but you know, if you go to the left or look to the left, that's where the sign is. And then on the back of the lot, I use like a billboard, which has this guy like holding up a gas pump and stuff, so that people from a distance will know that there is a gas station here. And that item is, I think, Strangerville or base game. I could be wrong in that front, but that's kind of what I think it is. And yeah, so I just use that on the back. And then for the junkyard, I just use a bunch of these like broken down cars and debug trash cans and oil drums and, you know, trails of litter and paper and garbage. Most of that is from werewolves, with the exception of some items, which I think some of the cars are horse ranch. But for all those like garbage items like the stove and the dresser and the fridge, those are all werewolves, and same with like the garbage trails. But the scattered papers, those are Strangerville. And yeah, so that's kind of like all that's in the junkyard. And then I use this werewolf's fence around it that's got the barbed wire and there's like a metal grate, because I feel like that felt pretty realistic. And then beside that, I put the porta potties that look very beat up, very much have seen some things in their life. They are from werewolves, and they're also kind of like chained up, so I don't know if they're actually functional or if they're like meant to be thrown out. Maybe they were functional once, but now they need to be thrown out. I just felt like it added to the junkiness of the lot, which is really, you know, all I wanted this lot to feel like, was very much like small town, rundown building, you know, with maybe a hint of mystery. And in terms of landscaping, I really did not do too much, mainly because I didn't really have the lot space to, but also because of the type of lot I'm building on. It's on like this sandy gravel, and so I felt like going super lush and lots of foliage and greenness and everything like that was not very fitting for the world or the lot. And so I ended up just going with like a couple of dead grass bits here and there, and then some cacti, because I felt like that's all this lot really needed, and I feel like it just makes it look even more desolate, which once again was the vibe. And then in terms of other signs I used on the outside, I wanted to kind of, you know, make it known that there was a bar on this lot, because since the door is on the side, I feel like it could kind of be overlooked a little bit. And so I put this cactus with like a jug of some kind. I think it's like a beer jug or something, and like an arrow pointing downwards. And so I felt like that was a nice little tacky sign that fit the small town vibes and also helped, you know, make it known that there is in fact a bar in this lot, if that mega sign out front did not, you know, tell you enough. But I feel like all the locals kind of know that the bar is here. But I guess for any tourists coming to town, or maybe a journalist who's trying to figure out, you know, what's going on in the town, if they don't know where the bar is, this should help them find it. And then I also used a drain pipe on the outside and a little green fabric awning, which is from Strangerville. And I also used some like wall cracks and scuffs and things like that. The water splotches and stuff are from Strangerville, and then the wall cracks and wallpaper peeling and things like that, that is a werewolf's wall decal. And yeah, so I think that kind of covers the outside. There really isn't too much to it, which honestly is kind of why I like it. I just really like the simplicity of it, because it really feels realistic to me. But now you can see that we have moved on to the inside of the very first part of this build, which is the gas station. And you can see that I kind of messed around with figuring out which shelves to use, and refrigerators and things like that. So I ended up using these shelves from the Get to Work expansion pack, which is another thing I want to mention actually, is the fact that this convenience store can be run as a retail shop if that's something you wanted to do. In my mind, I mean, I'll kind of explain the storyline in a bit, but a general overview is that I imagine the family who lives upstairs in that apartment are the ones who run the bar and the gas station convenience store all of that kind of stuff. And so if you wanted to, you could have your Sims buy this as a retail lot and then sell all these little items that I'm placing as, you know, their valuable goods. Yeah, so that's just like a little disclaimer. I made sure to put the cash register and things like that so that you could purchase this as a fully functional retail lot. And then in terms of other storage items I used a fridge from, again, Get to Work, which looks like it's stocked with like meats and milk and all of those kind of things. And then I also used this very beat up vending machine, which, believe it or not, is from Cats and Dogs. Literally did not know this existed until I did this build, but it's a very beat up one. I think it's supposed to dispense like various pet treatment objects, but I just have it as a refrigerator. When I clicked it in the build and buy menu, it looked like there was items in it, but then when I placed it, they were gone. So I don't know if that's something I have to implement with, or like in live mode or live mode to kind of fill it up. If you guys know anything about that, you can let me know. But honestly, I don't mind it being empty. Maybe it's like it's just about to be stocked, or it's freshly been cleared out, or maybe it stopped working. I don't know. You could come up with so many different story reasons for why there's nothing in there. But yeah, and then the counter I used is from Get to Work again. This is like the retail counter or the receptionist counter. And then behind that, I also used some Get to Work filing cabinets. And the flooring is, what is the flooring? The flooring is City Living. It's like this really banged up tile. The tile is originally base game. If you don't have City Living, like you could replace it with the base game one, which looks exactly the same, just less worn. And then I think I'm using a Jungle Adventure like stucco wallpaper on the inside. I don't know if that ends up changing or not, or if I leave it like this, but I think I leave it like this now that I'm kind of jogging my memory. But then on the walls, I wanted to put these cork boards to make it look like kind of like a community hub. So like if there's odd jobs you need done, like house listings, or like maybe some criminals on the loose and the police wanted to put up a little wanted poster, something like that. That's kind of what the cork boards are. I'd imagine this lot is very much like a hub for the people in this town, and I'd imagine everyone knows like the family that runs this place, and they're pretty close with all the locals. I feel like it's very tight-knit community, I guess, or at least everyone knows each other, because I'm envisioning this is very much small town. And yeah, and then behind those cork boards, I wanted the wall to feel like maybe it had been something before it was a gas station. So I put like this very worn fish mural thing that's from Cats and Dogs, and like the cork boards are covering up what they couldn't scrape off kind of thing. And I was pretty happy with how that came out. But then in terms of the shelves, what I ended up doing, because I guess I've kind of talked over it now, is I went through debug and I found all of the items that felt like they could be sellable merchandise, and I took those out. And then I took some shelves. I used a base game shelf and a Dream Home Decorator one just to get the items to snap to the height that I wanted. And then I, all placed them onto the shelf, and then I used the tool mod and I clicked it so that it turned green, and then I Alt Shift and clicked on the floor to duplicate the item in like the exact same format that it was prior to duplicating it, if that makes sense. I feel like this is such a hard thing to explain, but I'm trying my best. And then I just took those and I put them all in rows. So it looks like they were sitting on the shelf, and it's like stocked merchandise that your Sims can like purchase and things like that. And yeah, so I just like fully cluttered it up just to make it look like the shelves were fully stocked with whatever random essentials your Sims might need. And then for the counter space, I really wanted it to feel like cluttered and lived in. And I really wanted it to feel like this is like a hot, sweltering town kind of thing. So I put like this fan from Werewolves, which has got like paint chipping. Yeah, I very much think it's like a southwestern kind of town. I don't live in America, so I'm just speaking from what I know. So I can't actually name like a state or anything that this might be a part of. Alabama, Texas, something like that. You guys can let me know what this is based off of. I probably should have like researched this, but I'm pretty much thinking of, if any of you know of the artist Ethel Cain, they have like this whole kind of aesthetic to them, and I did this art project on them for school and fell in love with like the whole Southern Gothic aesthetic. And so that's kind of Nebraska. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm pretty sure Nebraska is kind of the vibe I was going for. But for those of you who are American and know far more than I do, you can let me know if I'm on the mark with that or not. But regardless, I just wanted it to feel like a small town in summer. And so behind the little cash register, I ended up putting a whole bunch of little knickknacks. I also have some like mugs and some notes to make, and a little stool to make it look like whoever's working the gas station is just kind of like sitting there kind of trying to pass the time with like that fan going, which is from Get to Work. And I have that little toolkit, which is from Growing Together, in case anyone needs like an instant car repair since they've come here for gas, like maybe they need a little repair while they're at it. And then I also put this little lure, fishing lure display case, and I imagine maybe like some Sims combined, they're like, oh, I want that lure, and then they buy it. And then I also put a nectar rack, but it's not filled with any bottles. Again, I think that's something I have to do in live mode, but I was thinking that maybe they have some like cheap behind the counter wine, even though there's a bar right next door, but maybe like not everyone wants to go to the bar. And I guess if they're run by the same people, like they're not really threatening business if they sell wine at one place and also the one right beside it. And yeah, so that was kind of the thinking for that. I'm really happy with how the little convenience store came out in the end. It's very small and quaint, and I think just perfect for what I had envisioned. And yeah, I was not let down with it by any means, even without using like a reference photo. I guess the one thing I kind of did search up was like the exterior of a convenience store, and a lot of them have like these windows. Yeah, a lot of them have windows. That's actually not what I was trying to say. A lot of them have these posters and flyers in the windows. And so I tried to, do that in the Sims version. So I just took a bunch of different posters and stuff and put them on the windows to make it look like they had been stuck up. And then I also put a little like newspaper debug item right outside of the gas station, and then behind that I put some more posters which maybe look like band posters or like concerts coming up. Which also, if you guys have watched the long play, the summary home long play, I came up with the idea that the Sims that live in that house are like up and coming musicians, and with the werewolves pack there's a whole bunch of like music themed posters and stuff, and so I was imagining that like their band is related to that. They're like the Three Wolves or something, and so I thought it'd be kind of cute if I used those posters outside of this gas station to make it look like they've gone around and tried to get a bit more publicity in areas, even though they live in Willow Creek and this is not Willow Creek. This is honestly maybe far from it, but maybe they were doing a little tour and like they got their posters up. So just for a little bit of extra lore, I decided that would be like a cute thing to add in there. And then now you can see that I have finished the gas station and moved on into the bar. And so for the bar, I wanted it to feel very old, rustic, dingy, rundown. Yeah, definitely like old and weathered. So I used this bar back, which we got from Strangerville, which has like a whole bunch of different little knickknacks on it, and like I think like a cooler or something. And then the bar top that I'm using is from Horse Ranch because it looked really dinged up and like fully wooden. I was gonna use the Strangerville one, but the metal wasn't really speaking to me, so I ended up going with like this wooden one, which I just said is from Horse Ranch. And in terms of like bar stools and tables and just seating and everything like that, I wanted to mix and match a whole bunch of furniture items to make it look like if maybe something had broken, like they couldn't get an exact replacement, so they kind of just found what they could at like the thrift store or something. And I really like how that all came out. I tried to do it in like all similar wood swatches, like this deeper brown, to kind of add some cohesion without being like a complete eyesore of like various items. Although I do feel like that could have worked for this bar, but I wanted it to be like various wooden items, so either someone had like remade it for them or they just found a wooden piece at a thrift store and things like that. And for the bar stools, I went with like the similar feature throughout all the bar stools is I made sure all of them had like a back to it instead of just being a stool. And then I also gave like green cushions to some of them because I felt like that could kind of help tie it in. And then I also got to use this super cool item, which is a jukebox from Strangerville. It's like a very retro looking one, and I'm super happy with that item. I think it's so cool. So I put that in there, and then I also put this cardboard dance floor from Get Together. So there's like a whole bunch of activity items here. The one thing I'm realizing I forgot to add is a dartboard. I did also want to add in a foosball table, but there was simply not enough space. Now I will say I have actually played with this build in like when I was kind of testing out the Strangerville world, and it gets packed. This is a small lot for the amount of Sims that, you know, can appear on one lot at a time. So just be warned, it is going to be very cramped. Yeah, but I mean, like I said, the lot's pretty small, so I made do with what I could. And yeah, also, if you guys want to, I'm not really too sure if I would ever do a gameplay series, but if you did, like, let me know if you'd be interested in seeing the Strangerville one, because I have not played through it and I don't really know what happens. So if that's something you'd be interested in seeing, like maybe I could do a little gameplay series of that, so you can let me know. But I'm not fully certain if I want to do gameplay videos on my channel or not, because sometimes like I just want gameplay to be for me, because a lot of the times I feel like gameplay's a little, like when you do it for video, it feels too, like there's too much pre-planning. So unless you guys are cool with just like a very natural let's play and nothing's like scripted or anything, it's literally just me playing with whatever kind of story I have in mind, then maybe I do it, but you know, let me know. But you can see that I've pretty much completed the bar for the most part. I put in a really dingy bathroom with garbage in there, and like a drain and a broken mirror, and then also leading out to the junkyard. I kind of closed that off because I wanted that to be like the manager's office. So once again, I feel like the Sims upstairs are the ones who own this bar and the convenience store, but I feel like maybe there's like some sketchy business happening in the back there, like maybe they commit tax evasion, I don't know. But I kind of wanted it to feel like a dingy office that is very much too hot. There's no AC in that office. There's a fan, I think, maybe, but yeah, I wanted there to be like a hint of sketchiness in that office, and so I put up like a corkboard as well, because maybe that's like the schedule or something. And yeah, so that's kind of it for the bar. I added like a couple of different wall decor items, but now I have moved on upstairs into the apartment. So this is a very tiny apartment that houses 5 Sims actually. We have 2 parents, a toddler, and 2 teenagers who I think are like fraternal twins. Is that the right one? Or like where they look kind of the same but they're not identical. Is that fraternal, paternal? I don't know, one of those. I'm just thinking they're like the same age pretty much. And so it's a lot of Sims to fit into this one tiny apartment, but that is why I love this apartment. Originally I was gonna go for like my standard like dingy beat up kind of thing, but then I thought that's maybe getting a bit redundant, so instead I tried to just make it like an older looking apartment. So don't get me wrong, it's still a bit rough around the edges, but I like switch out the cabinets to not be like these ones from City Living. I go for my favorite base game counter actually, because I feel like it just kind of works pretty nicely. And I used a cats and dogs couch. This is just a base game console table that looks like it has a couple of different nicks and whatnot on it. Oh yeah, and I also wanted, because I felt like it wasn't cramped enough, I decided I would add a cat into the mix. So it's a cat, 2 parents, a toddler, and 2 teenagers. And I was thinking that the parents probably run the bar, and then I think the teenagers probably help run the gas station or the convenience store. And so it's very much a family-run business, and you know, they're getting by, they're making do, and I think it's a pretty closely knit family. I feel like they kind of have to be, and I feel like maybe there's some secrets about the business that the teenagers don't know yet, but they're going to be made aware of soon, like the tax evasion or money fraud and things like that. But I feel like they would stand by their parents. Maybe one of them like strays off, I don't really know. But yeah, that was kind of the thinking. There's like a bunch of different like craft supplies and like homemade stuff, because I feel like that's kind of what they can afford. And yeah, so in the kitchen is very small, as you can see. There is one counter for your cooking needs, which is all you need in The Sims. Like, you just have to have one free counter, so I don't end up putting any clutter on that because I wanted to make sure it was functional. But we have one counter, we have a sink, a fridge, a oven. The fridge and oven are from City Living because they're the very beat up versions, and you know what, sue me. I like these items and they always work well for when I want to do like a dated or, beat up looking apartment. So I'm sorry, but they can be easily replaced with like the base game ones. They just won't have as much like paint chipping and things like that. But you can see that I've now switched out the cabinets into these base game ones, which definitely feel more dated and make the space feel a bit more homey, which I really enjoy. And then in the kitchen, I also put the washer and dryer, which is just another feature that I love because I feel like that is the main tenant. So I just think that was so cute. And the table is base game. The chairs are cats and dogs in this kind of yellowy swatch. I went for kind of like a yellow-green color scheme with like some brown in here. The wallpaper is base game and the flooring is Strangerville. I think I forgot to mention those. And then I'm just trying to put clutter like literally anywhere I could. So on the console table, on the dining room table, by the sink, just leaving everything or making everything cluttered except for that one counter so that your Sims can cook and stuff. And then on top of the washer and dryer, put like a snow globe and a bread box and a little pot maybe that their Sims use to cook. And then for the cat, the litter box ends up being in the bathroom and their little food dish is right by the front door. And I actually put it's technically bird feed, which I think we got from the backyard stuff pack. It's a debug item, but I put it right beside the bowl to maybe look like that's the cat's food and like it's just about to be poured or something. And then I also like snuck a cat treat in the corner. I have yet to play test the upper portion of this build. I might have to get rid of that little and like everyday clutter item that has that mail and like the keys and stuff that's on the wall, because I think that might block your Sims from getting in. I think there's been a glitch with that recently, so I'll test that out. But I think something that really helped make this build come together and, give off the vibes that I wanted to was actually switching up the lighting. So I tried to make sure that everything was warm lighting and that everything was pretty dim because maybe they're running on low power over here. And so I feel like that really kind of tied everything together and gave it that more small town vibe, I guess. Hopefully you guys like understand the kind of vibe that I'm going for, but if you've seen some of my videos, you probably know by now that I'm a big fan of doing like realistic rundown homes. So that's pretty much what this is, but in apartment form and with a bar underneath and stuff. And yeah, so in terms of storyline, like the parents, there wasn't really too much I had in mind for them. It's just two parents who, run this business and maybe commit some like sketchy business. And it was more for like the kids that I was imagining, as in the teenagers. So one of the teenagers I was thinking is really big into movies and stuff and wants to become a screenplay writer and like direct movies and things like that. I feel like they want to get out of their small town and kind of have ambitions to be like a big famous director and things like that. So I tried to make a node to that, or an ode to that, with like movie posters on the walls and a journal that's been open. So maybe they've been like working on a movie script and things like that. And then their sibling, I was thinking, is the one who kind of wants to be like a journalist or an investigator and really wants to figure out what the heck is going on in this town because, with the Strangerville mystery, I feel like it's essential to have someone in the world who is curious about uncovering that. Although the Sims teams did like include that, but I wanted to include my own Sim, and it's like a teenager Sim, so they might not have the actual time to do it, but maybe like after school they go to the library and like research a bunch of things. But I think they're very much interested in like figuring out what is going on in the town, so maybe they're a little bit of conspiracy theorist. Is that how you say it? Hopefully. But yeah, that was kind of my thinking for them. But maybe they're also a bit into like a sciencey element, or maybe like what is it? Maybe they're into like hacking or something. Maybe they're gonna have to help their parents like when they learn of the new or the real way the business is run. Like maybe they'll have to hack into some systems to like help their parents out or something. Or alternatively, they could just want to be in the military career. I feel like they could go like either way, but that was kind of my thinking for them. But yeah, I guess that's kind of it for the storyline. It's nothing too crazy, but I feel like it's just kind of cute that is cute the right word? I don't know. I just felt like it was a bit of a realistic, nice storyline that like they run the small town bar, they run the convenience store, gas station, and like they live upstairs. Because like in the area where I grew up, like it's very common to have like people living above businesses, like with the way the street is laid out. And so that's kind of what I was including here, except where I grew up, it's like all the buildings are smushed together. They're not like standalones, like they're like blocks kind of. So this is a bit of an exception, but it was kind of reminding me of that. But you can see that I have moved on into the parents' bedroom. And so for the parents, they actually share a room with the toddler because there's not nearly enough space. So when the toddler ages up, good luck. Like, I don't know how you're going to make this work, but maybe by that time, one of the teenagers will have moved out and you can, move them in with their other sibling or just give them that room. But for now, the toddler just lives in the parents' room. I'm thinking the toddler was maybe a bit of an unexpected addition to the family, but they're going to love and cherish it the same way they would cherish all their other children. I also believe I just said it. I more meant them. My apologies. And yeah, so that pretty much sums up the parents' bedroom. There really isn't too much going on in there. I have a dresser from Horse Ranch, which has a little mirror on it. I have a laundry hamper, a changing table from Growing Together, and then I just kind of cluttered up the side tables with like miscellaneous items to make it look lived in. And then now I moved on into the teenager's room. So you can see that it's very much close quarters here. So I ended up doing bunk beds with desks underneath, and I like that they were kind of matching but kind of different. That's always like something I really love doing. And so for one sim, I go for more of a blue color scheme. I'll change it from the pink into blue. And then for the other sim, I go for a more green color scheme. So the green color scheme sim is the one I was thinking is either wants to be like military or uncover the mystery or the scientist or the hacker. That whole sim is the green side. And then on the blue side is the sim that wants to be like a director or is big into movies and like screenplays and things like that. And so I'm just kind of gonna clutter it up with whatever little bits and bobs I feel match their personality. There is no like dresser in this room, but I think it's okay because I put a dresser in the parents' bedroom. So if your sims do want to change their outfits, they can use that. And yeah, so for the sim that I think is maybe like a conspiracy theorist or a hacker and things like that, I gave them this really like beat up laptop because I felt like it just kind of looked like whatever they could afford, or maybe something they had found or someone was giving it away, but it's in a really beat up condition. But I think like maybe once they start making some money or whatnot, like they can upgrade it and things like that. And so I just put a bunch of different like stacks of books and this lamp, which I really like this lamp. It's from City Living and you can purchase it when you go to like the flea market thing. It's got like, it looks beat up and it's got a bunch of different stickers and stuff on it that maybe this sim is like plastered on there. And yeah, that's kind of it for their side. I put a couple of different posters to kind of reference like the conspiracy theory or the military career, so you can kind of go either way with that. And then for this other sim, I've just switched it to like that bluey color scheme, and I give them the same chairs just in different colors, which I thought was really cute. And then to kind of give them a bit more privacy, I put this like partition wall. And yeah, that's kind of it for this build, I'm pretty sure. So I'm just going to go ahead and clutter up the last bits of this desk, and I'm going to leave it here. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe if you're interested in seeing some future content from me. And as always, if you have any comments or suggestions, things you want to see me build, make sure to leave it in the comments below. And you can find all my gallery information in the description, which is where this build will be. Bye guys!